You know that feeling when you're standing at the checkout, about to buy something you probably don't need, and instead of thinking twice about it, you just pull out your credit card and swipe? There's no pain, no hesitation, just a quick tap or swipe and you're done. Maybe it's a $47 shirt you saw on sale, or a $23 lunch because you didn't feel like cooking, or some gadget from Amazon that seemed useful at the time. Normal stuff, nothing crazy. And in that moment, it feels completely fine because you're not actually watching money leave your haunts. You're just using a piece of plastic that makes everything feel temporary and reversible somehow. Then, a few weeks later, you check your credit card statement and you see a number that makes absolutely no sense. You're looking at a balance of $2,800 or $3,500 or maybe even more, and you're sitting there trying to figure out how that happened. You didn't buy anything expensive. No vacation, no major purchase, just regular day-to-day stuff. But somehow those small purchases that felt like nothing in the moment have turned into this massive number that you now owe to a credit card company. And the worst part, you have no idea how you're going to pay it off. Most people think credit cards destroy your finances because of interest rates. They'll tell you it's the 22% APR or the compound interest that gets you. And sure, that's part of it. But here's what they're missing. The real danger isn't the interest rate. It's not even the debt itself. The real trap is psychological, and it's built into the design of how credit cards work. Once you fall into this trap, getting out becomes nearly impossible. Not because of the math, but because of how your brain starts working differently around money. And millions of people are stuck in this exact situation right now, without even realizing what's keeping them there.
My name is Puck, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial psychology, and why smart, responsible people make catastrophically bad decisions with credit cards. If you want to understand what's actually happening when you use credit and why it's so hard to break free once you start carrying a balance, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up changing how you think about plastic in your wallet. Now, before we talk about the trap itself, let me ask you something. When was the last time you paid for something with actual cash? Not your debit card, not Apple Pay, but physical paper money that you had to count out and hand to someone. For most people, it's been weeks, maybe months. We've moved almost entirely to digital payments and credit cards, and that shift has done something really interesting to our brains. It's created a psychological distance between the act of buying something and the consequence of spending money. And that distance is where the trap lives.
There's this famous study that researchers love to talk about, where they tracked people's spending at McDonald's. Same people, same restaurant, same menu, but they split them into two groups. One group paid with cash, the other with credit cards. The people using credit cards spend 47% more on average. Same food, same prices, but nearly half again as much spending just because of the payment method. Think about that for a second. These weren't different people with different incomes or different appetites. The only variable was whether they handed over cash or swiped a card. And that one change made them spend almost 50% more. Why? Because paying with cash hurts. Literally. Studies using brain scans show that when you pay with cash, the pain centers in your brain light up. The same areas that activate when you experience physical pain. Your brain is registering loss. You're watching money leave your hand. You're seeing your wallet get lighter. And your brain is saying, wait, we're losing resources here. Maybe we should think about this. But when you swipe a credit card, those pain centers stay quiet. There's no immediate loss. The money isn't gone yet. You're just making a promise to pay later. And your brain doesn't process promises the same way it processes actual loss. So you spend more freely, more impulsively, more frequently, because it doesn't hurt. Now imagine you're buying coffee every morning. Let's say it's $6 with tax and tip. If you're paying with a $20 bill, you feel that transaction. You see the 20 leave your wallet, you get some change back, and tomorrow you have to do it again. After a few days, you start thinking, maybe I should just make coffee at home because I'm watching my cash disappear. But if you're tapping your credit card for that same $6 coffee, there's no pain. You tap, you get your coffee, you leave. Tomorrow, same thing. Next week, same thing.
You're spending the same money, but your brain never registers it as loss because you're not seeing anything disappear. You're just tapping plastic. And this is where it starts. Not with some big, irresponsible purchase, but with 100 small purchases that your brain doesn't properly register because credit cards have removed the psychological pain of spending. Over a month, that's $180 just on coffee. Add in lunches you put on the card, the occasional Uber, some online shopping, a few subscriptions that auto-charge, and suddenly you're looking at $1,500 or $2,000 in charges that never felt like real spending in the moment.
And here's where the trap actually snaps shut. You get your statement, you see the balance, and you think, okay, I need to pay this off. But then you look at the minimum payment. Maybe it's $45, maybe it's $75. And your brain does this weird calculation where it thinks, well, I can afford $75. That's manageable. I'll just pay that this month, and I'll pay more next month when I have extra money. So you pay the minimum, and it feels like you did the responsible thing. You didn't ignore the bill. You made a payment. You're handling it. Except you're not handling it at all. You've just fallen into the second part of the trap, and this one is designed specifically by credit card companies to keep you paying them forever. Let's do some actual math here, because this is where things get really ugly. Say you have a $5,000 balance on your card, and the interest rate is 22%, which is pretty standard these days. Your minimum payment is probably around $150. That feels doable, right? $150 a month? You can manage that. So you start paying the minimum every month, thinking you're chipping away at the debt. But here's what's actually happening. Of that $150 payment, about $92 is going to interest. Only $58 is actually reducing your balance. So even though you're paying $150, you're barely making progress. And because you're barely making progress, it's going to take you forever to pay this off. How long exactly? If you only pay the minimum on a $5,000 balance at 22% interest, it will take you approximately 17 years to pay it off. 17 years. And in that time, you won't pay $5,000. You'll pay around $13,000. You're paying $8,000 in interest on $5,000 worth of stuff you probably don't even remember buying. Think about that. 17 years of monthly payments, and most of what you're paying isn't even going toward the stuff you bought. It's going straight into the credit card company's pocket as profit. And here's the psychological trick that makes this work. That minimum payment makes you feel like you're being responsible. You're not ignoring the debt. You're not defaulting. You're making your payment every single month like a responsible adult. But what's actually happening is you're doing exactly what the credit card company wants you to do. They don't want you to pay off your balance quickly. They make almost no money if you pay in full every month. They make a fortune if you carry a balance and pay minimums, because that's when the interest starts piling up. The minimum payment isn't designed to help you get out of debt. It's designed to keep you in debt as long as possible, while making you feel like you're doing fine. And your brain shifts from thinking, I owe $5,000 and that's a problem, to thinking, I can afford $150 a month and that's manageable. The debt stops feeling like an emergency and starts feeling like just another monthly bill, like your phone bill or your internet, just something you pay every month forever. Except your phone bill actually gives you service. This payment is just interest on money you already spent on things that are long gone. But here's the part that keeps people trapped for decades, and most people don't even realize this is happening. You start paying down your balance. Let's say you've been disciplined. You paid an extra $500 this month, and your balance drops from $5,000 to $4,500. You feel good about that. Progress. But here's what your brain notices. You now have $500 in available credit again. Your credit limit was $5,000. You owed $5,000, so you had zero available. But now you owe $4,500, which means you have $500 available. And your brain, whether you consciously realize it or not, starts treating that available credit like it's money you have. It's not money you have. It's money you're allowed to borrow. But it doesn't feel that way. It feels like breathing room, like a little cushion. And then something comes up. Your car needs new tires, or your laptop starts acting weird and you need to replace it. Or you have a wedding to go to and you need a gift and an outfit. And because you have that $500 available,
You use it. You put the expense on the card because that's what the available credit is for, right? Emergencies and necessary purchases. So now you're back to owing $5,000. You worked hard to pay it down, and one unexpected expense put you right back where you started. This is the revolving credit trap, and it's absolutely brutal because it creates this illusion of progress while keeping you stuck in the exact same place. You feel like you're managing the debt because the balance goes up and down. Sometimes it's $4,500, sometimes it's $5,200, sometimes back to $4,800. But over months and years, the average stays roughly the same. You're running on a hamster wheel, working hard, making payments, but you're not actually getting anywhere. And the whole time, you're paying hundreds of dollars in interest every year just to stay in the same spot. The available credit becomes a psychological crutch. Instead of building an actual emergency fund with money you own, you start treating your available credit as your emergency fund. Car repair? Put it on the card. Medical bill? Card. Unexpected travel? Card. And every time you do this, you're borrowing money at 22% interest for things that an emergency fund should cover. But you can't build an emergency fund because all your extra money is going to credit card payments. See how the trap works? The debt prevents you from saving, and the lack of savings forces you to use the card, which creates more debt, which prevents you from saving. It's a cycle that feeds itself, and breaking out of it requires completely changing how you think about money and credit.
And this is going to make some people defensive, but it needs to be said. Credit card rewards are not helping you. I know. You've got your 2% cashback card or your travel points card, and you feel like you're being smart by using it for everything to maximize rewards. But if you're carrying a balance, you're not winning. You're losing badly. Here's the math. Let's say you spend $1,000 on your card this month, and you get 2% cashback. That's $20. Cool, free money, right? Except you're carrying a balance of $5,000 at 22% interest, which means you're paying about $92 in interest this month. You earned $20 in rewards and paid $92 in interest. You didn't come out ahead. You lost $72. But it doesn't feel that way because the rewards are visible and exciting. You see the cashback. You see the points adding up. Your brain gives you a little dopamine hit for being smart with your card. Meanwhile, the interest is just a number on your statement that you've learned to ignore. Credit card companies spend billions of dollars on rewards programs because they know exactly what they're doing. Rewards change your behavior. Studies show that people with rewards cards spend 12 to 18% more than they would otherwise because they're chasing points or cash back. You convince yourself that buying something is smart because you're getting rewards. You're not just spending money, you're earning points. Except you're spending more to earn a tiny fraction back. And if you're carrying a balance, you're paying interest that's 10 times higher than whatever rewards you're earning. You're not gaming the system. The system is absolutely gaming you. The rewards are bait to make you spend more and feel good about it, while the interest quietly drains your bank account. Now, here's where things go from bad to catastrophic. You've got one credit card that's maxed out or close to it, and you're struggling with the payments. Then you get an offer in the mail. 0% APR balance transfer for 18 months. Just move your balance to this new card and you won't pay any interest for a year and a half. Sounds like a great deal, right? A chance to actually make progress without getting destroyed by interest. So you do it. You transfer the $5,000 balance to the new card, and suddenly you're paying 0% interest. Every dollar of your payment goes toward the principal. You feel like you just hacked the system. Except here's what actually happens for most people. You transferred the balance, so now your old card has a zero balance, which means you have all that credit available again. And because you still haven't changed your spending behavior, because you haven't actually addressed why you went into debt in the first place, you start using the old card again. Just for emergencies at first, then for regular purchases. And within 6 months, that card has a balance again. Now you've got $2,500 on the old card and $5,000 on the new card. You didn't solve the problem, you just spread it across more cards. And when that 18-month promotional period ends, if you haven't paid off the new card, the interest rate jumps to 24%. Now you're paying interest on both cards, and your total debt is higher than when you started. This happens all the time. People think balance transfers are the solution, but they're usually just a delay. Unless you fundamentally change how you spend and use credit, transferring balances just gives you more rope to hang yourself with. And it creates this fragmentation effect where your debt is spread across multiple cards, and somehow that makes it feel less serious. Having 3 cards with $2,000 each feels different psychologically than having 1 card with $6,000, even though it's the exact same amount of debt. Your brain treats them like separate, smaller problems instead of one big problem. So you're less motivated to fix it because no single card feels that bad. Plus, now you're juggling multiple due dates, multiple minimum payments, multiple interest rates. You're trying to figure out which card to pay first, which one to use for new purchases, whether you should do another balance transfer. It's exhausting.
And here's the really scary part. Credit card debt doesn't usually create some dramatic crisis that forces you to change. It's not like you're going to lose your house or your car gets repossessed. For most people, credit card debt just slowly drains your future. You keep making minimum payments, you keep your accounts in good standing, your credit score might even be decent, but you're stuck. You can't save for a house because all your money goes to payments. You can't invest for retirement because there's nothing left over. You can't take career risks or start a business because you need the steady paycheck to cover your debts. You can't leave a bad relationship because you're financially dependent. Every major life decision is constrained by the fact that you owe thousands of dollars to credit card companies. And because it's not a crisis, because you're technically managing it, you keep waiting for the right time to really tackle it. You'll pay it off when you get a raise, when you get your tax refund, when things slow down, when you have more money. But that time never comes because there's always something else. And meanwhile, years are passing. You're in your 30s, then your 40s, then your 50s, and you've been carrying credit card debt the entire time. You're not going bankrupt, but you're not building wealth either. You're just stuck forever.
So here's what actually works if you want to get out. And I'm going to be honest, this isn't easy and it's not fun, but it's the only way that actually addresses the real problem. First, you have to cut up the cards. Literally, take scissors and destroy them. I don't care if you have rewards, I don't care if you think you can control yourself. If you're carrying a balance, you've already proven you can't control yourself with credit. The cards need to go. This is a psychological break. You're physically severing your ability to borrow more money, and that creates a real shift in how you have to think about purchases. Next, you need to face the actual number. Add up every credit card balance you have, all of them. Look at the total. That's what you actually owe, and that's what you need to eliminate. Stop thinking about individual cards and minimum payments. Think about total debt. Then, you need to stop paying minimums. Paying the minimum is designed to keep you in debt forever. You need to pay as much as you possibly can toward one card while paying minimums on the others. Pick the card with the highest interest rate and attack it with every extra dollar you can find. When that one's gone, take everything you were paying on it and apply it to the next highest rate card. This is called the Avalanche Method, and mathematically, it's the fastest way out. Some people will tell you to pay off the smallest balance first to get a psychological win. That's the snowball method. And sure, it feels good to eliminate a card. But if your goal is to get out of debt as fast as possible and pay the least amount of interest, you attack the highest rate first, period. And here's the hard part. You have to downgrade your lifestyle. You have to become someone different. The version of you that accumulated this debt was living beyond their means. The version of you that eliminates this debt has to live below their means until it's gone. That means cooking at home instead of eating out. That means saying no to trips and events you can't afford. That means buying less, doing less, spending less. It's not fun, it's not glamorous, but it's necessary. And because it's not a crisis, because you're technically managing it, you keep waiting for the right time to really tackle it. You'll pay it off when you get a raise, when you get your tax refund, when things slow down, when you have more money. But that time never comes.
No more balance transfers, no consolidation loans. Those don't fix the behavior. You need to change how you think about and use money. And the only way to do that is to actually feel the pain of paying off debt with money you earn. It's going to take time. If you accumulated $10,000 in credit card debt over several years, it's going to take years to pay it off. That's just reality. But every month, you're making real progress instead of treading water. Every month, your balance is actually going down instead of just shifting around. And something happens during this process. You start becoming someone who doesn't borrow money, someone who thinks twice before buying things, someone who understands the difference between what they want and what they can afford. That identity shift is the real goal. The debt elimination is just a side effect of becoming a different person. Remember that feeling at the beginning? Standing at checkout with your credit card, about to swipe without thinking? Once you get out of debt and stay out, that feeling changes completely. You start paying with actual money, and suddenly every purchase becomes intentional. You're not avoiding things you can't afford, you're choosing things you actually value. There's no statement coming at the end of the month with a number that doesn't make sense. There's no minimum payment hanging over your head. There's no interest slowly draining your future. You make decisions with money you actually have, and that creates a confidence and freedom that people trapped in credit card debt can't even imagine. Look, credit cards aren't evil. They're tools, but they're tools designed to exploit human psychology. They remove the pain of spending. They make debt feel manageable when it's not. They offer rewards that distract you from interest. They enable a lifestyle you can't afford, and they keep millions of people trapped in a cycle that's incredibly hard to break. You can either understand that and protect yourself, or you can keep pretending you're in control while your debt quietly grows. The trap only works if you don't see it. Now you see it. What you do next is up to you.